I wish there was a way. I so badly wish there was a way that we could have fused together the Undertaker Dead Man entrance with the lights and the effects and the music, right? All that stuff, because it's great. Watching an Undertaker entrance is always fun, especially if you're there live. I wish there was a way that we could have fused that together with the promos of his old Big Evil character. That, to me, would be the perfect blend of The Undertaker, if they wanted to keep using him. No matches, maybe the occasional chokeslam, because even the Tombstone, it's a little hard for him to pick up these people these days. Maybe a chokeslam here or there, big boot or something. Just the entrance and the promo. That's it. That would be ideal. What would not be ideal would be to have Undertaker back in the ring wrestling Sting, which is what WWE was teasing on its social media this weekend. They put a photoshopped picture of the two of them in the ring together with the caption, "Imagine." Imagine. So everyone's wondering, well, what is this about? Is this a tease for a match? Is this something for the 2K20 video game? What is this? Well, before I started recording, because they were promoting something for today. Something was dropping today. And I just assumed it must be some new network show or something. It's not a network show. It's a YouTube series called WWE Reimagined. And this was the very first debut episode. It's up on YouTube right now. It's about 8 minutes long. And what they do in this series, I guess, what they did in this video, is they have footage of two wrestlers from their respective era, whatever era they're talking about here. In this case, the question they pose is, what if The Undertaker had jumped ship to WCW in 1997? What if? And so in the description here it says, WWE superstars and legends ponder an alternate reality in which The Undertaker jumped ship during the Attitude Era to WCW. And they interview a whole bunch of people. They interview Jeff Jarrett and Bruce Pritchard and Sting himself and Aiden English and Kevin Owens and Natalia and all these different people. Zack Ryder. To get their thoughts on how that hypothetical matchup would have gone. What would have happened if The Undertaker went to WCW? And it's funny, too, because part of what they did in the video was they took that footage from the night on Nitro that The Warrior made his debut. And you see Hogan in the ring, and I think Bischoff maybe was in there with him, and they look all freaked out, but they cut the part of the screen off so you can't see The Warrior, but they're kind of going back and forth splicing in images of The Undertaker to make it seem like it was The Undertaker who showed up that night. So they're kind of, in a way, photoshopping their own shit. So anyway, that was the whole purpose of this. It was finally revealed today. It's just this new YouTube series. And look, there's a whole bunch of them they could do that I'm sure are kind of interesting. They could do Rock and Shawn Michaels. There's a match we never saw. Maybe there's some other WWF guy. What if he would have jumped to WCW? Or maybe what if Goldberg would have jumped to WWE in 1998? So they can do an endless amount of these. But until today, until we found out exactly what this was for, all people were talking about the last few days is that, are we going to finally get an Undertaker and Sting match? Could this be at the next Saudi Arabia show? Are they seriously considering doing this match? After seeing the video, my guess and my sincere hope is absolutely not. But who knows? Maybe part of why they're doing this is to sort of test the waters and see what the reaction would be. There's always a chance. Imagine, they say. Yeah, imagine. Imagine if they had booked that match 8 years ago when they were running those Cabin in the Woods vignettes, which people thought was signaling the arrival of Sting. His contract with TNA was either up or about to be up. He kept signing these one-year deals. Dixie kept renewing him for a year, every single year. And at the time, his contract supposedly was up. And people thought, could these videos be teasing a Sting debut? Could we be in for a Sting-Undertaker match at WrestleMania 27? And as it turned out, it was not for Sting. It was for The Undertaker, who already had a program locked in with Triple H. Triple H had his program locked in with The Undertaker, and it was Triple H's WrestleMania program. So there was no changing it. But at the time, supposedly, there was at least one phone call. There may have been discussions because they saw the reaction from the fans and they had reached out to Sting and it just didn't work out. They could have done that 8 years ago. that would have been the time for it. 4 years ago, WrestleMania 31. The first time Undertaker and Sting were in the same company together with those characters. I mean, they actually wrestled in WCW when Undertaker was back in his Mean Mark days, but we're not counting that. But they had a chance then, and they didn't take it. Now, there's differing reports as to why. I have to be fair about this, because it's entirely possible that WWE thought about doing the match. Maybe they even wanted to. But there were reports at the time that The Undertaker straight up did not want that match. He did not want to work with Sting that year. And it's not that he has anything personal against the guy. I don't even know how well he knows him. But he may have been asked, and supposedly The Undertaker may have rejected the idea. I can only assume because he was afraid of what a match like with Sting might look like. Sting at that time was, I don't know, how old would he have been at the time? 54, 55? I mean, Undertaker he's younger than Sting, but let's be honest. I mean, he's not that much younger. And in terms of the abuse that he has put on his body, I would argue that Sting may well physically be in better shape than The Undertaker. But that's the only conclusion I can come to. If The Undertaker just was, for whatever reason, dead set against working a match with Sting at WrestleMania, it could only have been because he was worried about the match sucking and not being any good. Which is comical if that's true, looking back now at some of the matches that The Undertaker has had since then. That he would be so concerned about the quality of his WrestleMania match. But that's just one report that I heard. That's never been confirmed. The only person who could confirm that is The Undertaker. But apparently, whether it was him or the company's decision, it was so much more important for him to wrestle Bray Wyatt that year. And never appear once, by the way, on television to actually promote the match. He promoted it in video form. It was so much more important for Sting to wrestle Triple H that year. A match absolutely no one, that I know anyway, was clamoring to see. I don't want to speak for everybody, but I doubt very, very seriously that there were an abundance of people out there who, when they thought about dream match scenarios for Sting if he ever came to WWE one day, or if now he's finally going to come to WWE and he can only do one or two big dream matches, boy, I sure hope it's against Triple H. Yeah, you know who said that? Nobody. Triple H said that. That's about it. Then Seth buckle-bombed Sting later that year, and that was the end of that. And on that, I mean, to this day, I still don't understand why Sting agreed to take 2 of those buckle bombs in that match with Seth Rollins. In most Seth Rollins matches, especially when he was a heel, if he uses the buckle bomb, he uses it once. He uses it once, and sometimes the guy kind of falls out of the corner, he hits the stomp, but no, he hits the move one time. For whatever reason, in that match, he used 2 buckle bombs. I mean, you are tempting fate when you do that, and it was the second one, really, that effectively ended Sting's career. And it's nobody's fault. Seth didn't botch the move. He hit the move like he hits it with everybody else. And if WWE thought that, hey, we want to put Sting in a championship match, well, then he's got to be able to hang with the champion. Are you going to dumb the match down because the guy is 55 years old? He could either hang with the champion or you don't put him in the match. Seth, really, if you think about it, didn't do anything wrong. And he did take a lot of shit from people, probably unfairly. Maybe he could have called an audible and said, boy, this is dumb, we probably shouldn't do this. And he did. But it really, when you think about whose fault is it, I mean, if anything, it's WWE's fault for putting him in the match in the first place. But why do it twice? When rarely, if ever, did he do it twice in his other matches? That I will never understand. To a 56-year-old man, no less. So, everyone thinking maybe this is a tease for the next Saudi Arabia show. Could it be? Yeah, it could be. It could very well be. Nobody predicted we would get Undertaker and Goldberg last month. But here's a man who's 60 years old now. Rumored to have spinal stenosis. Spinal stenosis is what ended Edge's career. That's what made WWE go to him and say, guess what? You're done. We're not going to clear you. Sting was told that he would have to have neck surgery. he elected not to have that surgery. That was 4 years ago. Unless he's secretly gone under the knife since then and didn't tell anybody, he is unlikely to ever be medically cleared by WWE. Not impossible, but highly, highly unlikely. That doesn't mean that the Saudi prince wouldn't ask for it. And if they let him wrestle just because Bonesaw McGraw wants him to, then you know what? This company is a joke. This is a match 20 years too late. Now they're putting up videos fantasizing what it would have been like in 1997. Truth be told, that was when the match should have happened. It just didn't work out because they weren't in the same company. It just didn't work out. People said the same thing about Undertaker and Goldberg a few weeks ago. 20 years too late. Look how that turned out. 20 years too late. 8 years too late. 4 years too late. They had their chance and they blew it. They had their chance and they didn't do it. The Goldberg fiasco should serve as a lesson. This is not a match that should be happening in 2019 or 2020 or any other year in the future. WWE tells us to imagine. That's where it belongs. In our imaginations. Because today, we can all book a better match in our heads, in our minds, than what we would actually get in reality.